I'm not trying to disrespect Jake Paul and Tank's fight, but it is what it is. I want to see it. It's a little. It's a trip because Jake Paul, he's a big fighter and he's been getting power. He's been getting stronger and he's been doing what he's supposed to do. He's been improving as a fighter, but Gervonta Davis is Gervonta Davis, and what I like about this fight, that Gervonta Davis, he's a smaller fighter, but he's not a boxer. He's a f***ing killer.
Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis.
Oh, I don't care. I don't think anyone cares, man. No one cares.
Wait until you hear what David Benavidez just said about the Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis fight. This is getting crazy. Benavidez straight up said this fight won't even go the full distance. He's calling for a brutal knockout, and honestly, after hearing what he said, it's hard to disagree. So here's the deal. November 14th, 2025, Miami, Kaseya Center. That's when Jake Paul steps into the ring with one of the most dangerous punchers in boxing today. And yes, this is technically an exhibition, but nobody's treating it like one. The fight was supposed to happen in Atlanta, but they had to move it because of problems with the commission there. Now it's all set for Miami. 10 rounds, 3 minutes each. Catch weight at 195 pounds. Both guys wearing 12-ounce gloves. 3 judges will be scoring it, so even though it's called an exhibition, someone's walking out with a win on their record. But if Benavidez is right, those judges won't even matter.
It is happening. WBA lightweight champion Gervonta Davis, who's unbeaten in 31 professional contests, takes on the self-proclaimed problem child, Jake Paul, one of the most influential and marketable global personalities. Paul and Davis square off in Miami after doubts around the fight being sanctioned in Georgia triggered a change in venue. Neither fighter can weigh more than 195 pounds. The weight is perhaps the most surprising factor. Paul has boxed most of his career around 200 pounds, the cruiserweight limit, but did tip the scales at 227 pounds when he faced off against Iron Mike Tyson last year. Davis, much smaller in stature, competes at the 135 pound mark and has also won world honours at super featherweight.
And despite some discussions about possibly dropping down to 10 ounces, the pair seem set to wear 12-ounce gloves.
And in terms of distance, despite the exhibition tag, the fight will play out over 10 3-minute rounds with 3 scoring judges at ringside, but the result will not be officially recorded on their professional records.
Now, Benavidez doesn't do exhibition fights himself. He made that clear, but he thinks this one is actually good for boxing. He called it a fun fight between 2 guys who refuse to back down. And here's where it gets interesting. Everyone keeps talking about the size difference, right? Paul is huge compared to Tank. But Benavidez doesn't think that's the whole story. Sure, Jake will probably come in around 190 pounds and could be over 200 by fight night. Tank walks around at barely 150. That's insane. But Benavidez believes Tank's power and aggression can still change everything. He said Tank isn't going to run or play it safe. He's going straight after Jake every single round, looking to hurt him.
So it's just, I want to see like how he reacts to a punch from Jake, and that's if Jake can even catch him. You know what I mean? But this is gonna be a better exhibition fight because Gervonta is not gonna be running from him. He's gonna be trying to hurt him every single round. So it's gonna be a good fight. You know what I mean? But as for the exhibition fights, I'm not thinking about any exhibition fights. I'm thinking about getting these world titles, and then if there's an opportunity, maybe in 5-10 years, and we'll go down that route as well.
Yeah, it's just knowing how long Tank's been in boxing, and like, I know how it is when you guys step in the ring, whether it's an exhibition or not. Like, once you get touched, it's like you see red and you're like, okay, let's go. And like, that's where I think like he's not.
Sometimes what if there's the only question is what if a flush punch lands from 200, because Jake is gonna weigh 190, but he's gonna be 210 on a fighter that's 150, 140. You know what I mean? So and there's, what is it gonna be, 12 rounds?
Yeah. That I'm not sure. I think it's 10 ounce, but they're trying to lower the glove size. It was 12 ounce gloves. They're trying to lower the gloves to like 8 or 10.
So I mean, if it's 8-ounce gloves, I mean, it goes both ways. You know what I mean? Jake Paul, because those 8 ounces are small, bro. They're really small. So we'll see. I mean, it's gonna be a good night of boxing. I mean, it's good for the city of Miami, and then we'll see who's on the undercard. But you know, we ain't hating on it. I mean, it's good for boxing, and you know, hopefully we get a knockout.
Even with those bigger gloves making it harder to get a stoppage, both fighters are already talking about knocking each other out. They know what the fans want, and neither one of them is scared to go for it. But there's more to this story. Tank's trainer, Calvin Ford, recently explained why this fight is even happening in the first place. According to Ford, Tank chose Jake Paul over a rematch with Lamont Roach. Yeah, you heard that right. The WBA wanted him to defend his title against Roach again after their controversial draw back in March. Most people thought a rematch made sense, but Tank said no. He wanted something bigger, something that pays more, and Ford backed him up, saying Tank has already done enough for his past opponents.
My only concern is, you know, the gloves. You understand what I'm saying? Because we don't fight in 12-ounce gloves. We don't use 12-ounce gloves. That's training gloves, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, that's 2 pounds away from Jake. He fights in 10s. Tank fighting 8s, so he losing 4 ounces. So my thing is, I said, they said, put Tank in 8s, put him in 10s. That makes the fight more interesting. You know what I'm saying? And we'll go from there, because I understand. And I brought that question up to one of his handlers. They was, no, we don't want to do no mismatch. It's supposed to be an expedition. What, you know, now y'all want the wins and the loss. You know what I'm saying? All these prescriptions, but you want to be great. Being great is really pushing the envelope. You know what I'm saying? You know, Tank don't really care, you know? So when I brought this up, he said, dang, facts. You know what I'm saying? So, again, you know, he can wait at 10s and we wait at 8s. Then we got to fight.
And this wasn't a last-minute decision either. Tank and Jake apparently made this deal before the Roach fight even happened. This was always the plan. Tank has been saying for a while now that he's almost done with boxing. He's not chasing legacy fights anymore. He turned down Shakur Stevenson multiple times, saying he's tired of proving himself. For Tank, this might be one last big payday before he walks away from boxing forever.
Tank looked very uncomfortable facing off. He just did. I've seen other face-off this Tank done. He gets in their face and they're intense and he looks good. He looked very meager up there. You've had 8 fights and you're gonna go tangle with Tank Davis, and the story instantly comes out. Jake is so much bigger. There is such a compliment to Jake within that insult. It is meant to be an insult. It is meant to take away from a potentially glorious moment for Jake. But where the compliment comes is it means the public believes he's gonna win. That's what it means.
Let's talk about the weight situation, because it's absolutely wild. Jake Paul normally fights around 200 pounds. Last year, he weighed 227 when he fought Mike Tyson. Tank? He fights at 135 pounds. That's a 60-pound difference. 60 pounds. The catch weight at 195 is supposed to make it fairer, but Tank is still jumping up massively. Ford wanted the limit at 190, but even that was pushing it. Still, Ford believes Tank's experience and toughness will get him through this.
Jake Paul, I think when he weighed in for Mike Tyson, was 227 pounds. That is, if I'm not mistaken, a 92-pound weight difference. Almost a 100-pound weight difference. It's insane. That is called one thing. That's called being a bully.
Meanwhile, Lamont Roach is not happy. Not at all. He felt completely disrespected when Tank chose Jake over their rematch. Their first fight ended with controversy. The referee missed an obvious knockdown, and a lot of people think Roach should have won. A rematch was set for August, but Tank pulled out to fight Jake instead. Roach called it unprofessional, but he's not taking legal action. He said he's doing fine financially, and he's focused on his next fight. He's facing Isaac Pitbull Cruz on December 6th in San Antonio, and he's planning to make a statement. Roach believes a dominant win over Pitbull will remind everyone that he's still one of the most skilled and overlooked fighters in the division.
I think the hardest puncher I ever faced. No. And I ain't shitting on him or nothing like that. He can punch. But Jonathan Oquendo, he's from Puerto Rico. Bro, he got bricks in his hands, bro. I lie to you not. He punch hard. I ain't gonna lie.
On the other side, Jake Paul is hyping this up as his toughest fight ever. Even though Tank is almost 70 pounds lighter, Jake started boxing in 2020 and he's fought all kinds of opponents. Retired MMA guys like Tyron Woodley and Anderson Silva. He even fought Tommy Fury, who gave him his first loss. His last fight was against Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., and Jake won. But Tank is different. Tank is one of the hardest punchers pound for pound in the world. This is a whole new level. This isn't about experience or hype anymore. It's about whether Jake can handle real, world-class speed and precision. Facing Tank means stepping into a completely new level of danger. One mistake, one counter, and the fight could be over in seconds. Here's where it gets even more interesting. Shakur Stevenson, Tank's biggest rival, reportedly offered to help Jake Paul train for this fight. Jake confirmed it. Shakur reached out along with Montana Love, Jermaine Ortiz, and Erickson Lubin. They want to spar with Jake and help him get ready for Tank's speed and southpaw style. Think about that. Shakur helping Jake beat Tank. That's wild. Shakur and Tank have been going back and forth for years, and fans are frustrated they still haven't fought each other. Now Shakur might help Jake do what he couldn't. Some fans see it as a power move from Shakur, a way to get inside Tank's head without even stepping in the ring. Others think it's pure strategy, giving Jake real experience against top-level technicians who mimic Tank's style. Either way, the idea of Shakur aligning with Jake adds another layer of drama to an already unpredictable storyline.
Maybe he'll fight Jake Paul instead. What do you think of that?
I think that's terrible.
Why?
I mean, I get it, because at the end of the day, it's the money business, and you want to make the most money, but from what I'm hearing, he can make more money in a fight with me, and if that's the case, why not fight me?
Sure. Do you think he beats Jake Paul?
Do I think he beats Jake? Yeah. I mean,
there's a huge size advantage, though.
It is, but I think Tank got the skills to make sure he come out on top.
Not everyone is on board with Jake versus Tank. Former UFC champ Daniel Cormier slammed the idea, calling it ridiculous and bad for boxing. He criticized the huge size gap and said fights like this cross the line between real sport and pure entertainment. While he acknowledged Jake's impact on boxing, Cormier argued that spectacle matchups hurt the sport's legitimacy and overshadow fighters climbing the ranks. He believes boxing should prioritize fair, competitive bouts, not fantasy fights made just to sell pay-per-views.
You were yelling so much about him fighting someone, fight somebody your size. His next opponent is by far the most credentialed guy ever fought actively in his prime. There's one problem. He fights at 135 pounds. He fights at 135 pounds.
Even Jake's brother Logan Paul warned him about the danger Tank poses. Drawing from his 2021 fight with Floyd Mayweather, Logan said fighting a smaller, faster opponent is frustrating. His 35-pound weight advantage meant nothing. He stressed that Tank's speed, precision, and explosive power make him a serious threat, and underestimating that would be a huge mistake. While Logan acknowledged Jake's growth as a fighter, he warned that against someone like Tank, one slip could end the fight in an instant.
This is a dangerous fight for Jake. Gervonta's technical expertise, his speed, his precision, the fact that he's a counter striker are dangerous facts that make me think that Jake's really got to lock in for this one. On the contrary, if Gervonta feels a couple big Jake Paul shots, it's going to be detrimental.
I think this is going to be one of those ones that gets a real good racial split. I think it's going to be some real black versus white shit, dude.
The boxing world is divided on a potential Jake versus Tank matchup. Jake's size as a natural cruiserweight contrasts sharply with Tank's lightweight frame, creating a huge gap. Even analyst Teddy Atlas acknowledged the danger. Despite the size difference, Tank's power is real, with 28 KOs in 31 fights, including a 2024 win over Frank Martin. While Jake's size, jab, and strength could help control distance, Tank's explosiveness and elite timing make him a threat to anyone. It's a classic power versus size clash, and if it happens, it could be one of the most fascinating crossweight battles in recent memory.
What if Tank Davis, who can punch, who is a hell of a fighter, who is a top 10 pound-for-pound fighter, what if he lands a punch on this bigger guy's chin, right, who's not a professional fighter? What happens? What happens? That's what would sell it. I know what the size difference is what creates the problem.
So what is this fight really about? Some people call it a circus. Others say it's entertainment that keeps boxing in the spotlight. Tank brings world-class skills. Jake brings massive star power. Together, they've created one of the most talked about fights of the year. As we get closer to fight night, the questions keep coming. Can Tank really knock out someone 60 pounds heavier? Or will Jake's size be too much? One thing's for sure, both guys are getting paid a fortune, and maybe that's all that matters anymore. So what do you think? think? Can Tank Davis really knock out Jake Paul, or is the size difference just too much to overcome? Drop your prediction in the comments.